Hello everybody, this is Scott Harley from deactivated.com. Today I will be readdressing a question from about 2 years ago, and it's something that has really just either annoyed me or is finally eaten at me, and it's one, a lot of people are kind of dicks, and number two, it was 2 years old and people still want to like act like they're, they're not intelligent, but they've got a one-up on you. It would be like someone going back to a text message from 2 years ago, bringing up a current argument and said, well, you said this. Who the fuck would do that? But that's besides the point. The original question is why I don't use Comodo antivirus. In fact, I was going to review it, and then I decided against it because of that video. And in fact, on that video, that was the only video I have ever, as far as I know, turned off ratings and comments just because everybody was pissing me off. In 2013, I made a 5-minute video, roughly, covering as to why I didn't continue to use Comodo Antivirus and why I replaced it. Back at the time, I believe I was using the Chinese version of 360 Internet Security, or as it known now as 360 Total Security, which has now been released in English, and a lot has passed. And a lot of people are really fucking stupid. Like, let me just point out some of the things. It was 2 years ago, and people were still going on in that video and trying to like get a one-up on me, and it's just like I did not have the time to deal with it, so I just turned them off. And the dislikes, in fact, I was gonna probably delete the whole video, but I'll probably forward that video to this video. However, let me just go into it again. I don't use Comodo antivirus. Why? Because it's bloated. It's not that good of an antivirus either. Lab testing. Comodo doesn't score well. It just does not compete well with most other antivirus products. Let me open up this. Let's just open up an entirely new window. Let me go to the avtest.org. And everybody says, well, those AV tests can't be trusted. I mean, they were essentially on fanboyism at that point. But, let's see. Compare manufacturers. And I'm going to find the Comodo one. Comodo was actually dropped from the antivirus testing just for the simple fact that it was not, it just hasn't been updated any time recently. Whoops. I need it by corporate compare manufacturer results. Do I really have to go and look for one? I think the last one they had was on Windows 7, and it had to have been in December. Yep. It gained 4.5 out of 6. 4.5 out of 6. 4. It was always a well-rounded product. It never scored that well. And I did not like it. The thing had a ton of pop-ups. It was rather annoying. It was too much for a little antivirus. It felt bloated. It didn't feel natural. Everybody wanted to go into the user experience as well. Comodo had a really terrible user interface. The interface was blocky. It wasn't well updated. It just felt cheesy. It's not as elegant and as smooth as we're seeing today. It has not kept up with the times. Kind of like Microsoft Security Essentials, but that's derailing from the original point. The fact of the matter is, Comodo was a terrible antivirus. For me, at least. In my opinion, it was a really terrible product from the user experience point of view. It was also extremely bloated because of all the features they threw around there, like their Geek Buddy, their browser, a bunch of other things that were ultimately a waste of damn time. Comodo actually, oh, they brought Comodo back. And it's scoring even worse than it was before. But everybody wants to dismiss testing. Okay. I don't know what the hell metric you wanted me to go by then, but that is a quantifiable result right there, and people threw it out. Which was fairly annoying, because everybody was very quick to just throw it out. I still continue to use 360 Total Security because it works. The reason that they're not on the test is because they technically violated the rules and conduct. What happened was is when an antivirus program is sent to the. I don't know why they just don't download it from the damn website, but what happens when when AV test receives an antivirus product, they receive it from the manufacturer. It's just like sent over an email or a zip file or some shit. Don't know why they don't download it, but whatever they want to do with it. They then install it. Now, I'm not saying what they did was right, but I'm also saying that the testing system is almost inherently flawed because they told them that the product was modified by disabling the 360 cloud engine. No, it was their QVM2 engine, which is if you just like you looking at the pretty pictures, this is the QVM2 engine. This is the cloud engine, and they enabled the Bitdefender engine. That constitutes as modifying your product for testing, and that annulled all their scores. Now, I think that's kind of a bullshit thing, because, frankly, the product should just ship with all of them enabled in the first place. But they don't do it. Funny thing was, uh, Baidu, or was it Kingsoft? No, I think all three of the Chinese antivirus companies were caught doing it. All of them were technically caught in the act of cheating in some way, shape, or form. The funny part was, after AV test and the testing communities went back after them, they said, I don't know why they did this. It actually it actually lowered their scores. It could have lowered their scores from the testing. That's hilarious. No one cheats and does poorly for it. But I'm going back to the same point. Comodo still scores at the bottom of the line. Their base products are just not very strong. They have a lot of. Comodo almost prided itself on all of its features that it had, like the hips protection and sandboxing and all of that, which was all fine and dandy, but it doesn't matter that nobody uses Comodo. Nobody uses Comodo anywhere. So I'm not saying that nobody means nobody, but what I'm meaning is no one, the vast majority of people don't use Comodo, which inherently makes for a weak antivirus if the company knows what they're doing. If you're Microsoft, though, and you just don't know how to do anything as far as antivirus products go, then you end up with. I'm actually surprised they have it at half a dot this time. Normally, I see them with no dots. You just end up with really terrible protection scores. And you know what? I like Komodo's firewall. Comodo has an excellent, excellent firewall. Just modern day, you don't need Komodo's technology. You do not need Comodo firewall on your computer. Back in the day, I was very strict. I said you needed this, this, and this, and this. No, I'm taking a different approach to it. Because the problem with Komodo's firewall is it is very strong, but it's also a pain in the ass. It has a ton of pop-ups, it requires a ton of configuration, it requires an advanced skill level that 99% of users will not have. So, cut your losses and don't bother with their firewall. Your Windows firewall is pretty much all you're gonna need if you're using a decent AV system and you have a firewall on your router. Everyone who has a router should have a firewall or some sort of protection at the firewall level, so that way it doesn't even get to the computer in the first place to be a problem for the firewall on your computer. Comodo, I mean, they have a really crappy thing, but everybody who was on that video, you all commented so much about how well Comodo did, but when you go by metrics and testing, they do terrible, and everybody was quick to dismiss testing. Well then, that's just fanboyism. You're saying all these vendors. Okay, hold on. If they were all cheating, all the vendors were cheating on this test or bribing the test makers, how the literal hell is Comodo not bribing them? I mean, that would just be smart business sense if everybody was doing it. You would expect them to cheat also, unless Comodo, another business, has a set of higher standards. No. It's just cop-out excuses is what I got on that video. I will not use Comodo antivirus. I frankly don't even feel like reviewing it. I probably won't for now. I'll probably revisit it later when I'm not so annoyed over it. But frankly, Comodo sucks in testing. Get over it. Comodo has a very low test score. That is the fact. Comodo has a beautiful firewall. Comodo has also a very terrible user interface. It's also been known to cause quite a few problems performance-wise. But I'm not going to say that it does cause performance issues because in testing, it doesn't seem to do that bad. In fact, it seems to do better than Microsoft Security Essentials and Threat Tracks or Viper. Therefore, it wouldn't be fair to me to take one metric over the other. But I will say is Comodo Antivirus is not that strong. Great firewall. Antivirus sucks though. They're not really good at finding zero day. In fact, most people who ever hang out on security forums don't use Comodo Antivirus. They'll use the firewall because the firewall is the decent part of it. The antivirus sucks. It underperforms constantly. But who knows? Comodo will probably bounce back. Um, it's quite common. They can't be the Bitdefender of the industry who always gets basically perfect scores on everything, like Kaspersky as well. They just can't. But hopefully they'll bounce back and be decent again. Now, I still recommend 360 total security, and I believe in my other video, because it was fairly short and probably half the length of this one, maybe it'll be a third of it by the time I'm done, I always said that more engines was better protection. Frankly, that's true. If we were going strictly from a database and the engines that they were running, you would be safer with 360 total security because they have access to a larger database. Larger malware database overall means that there's a higher detection rate. Means that you're going to be protected against more known forms of malware. As I've always said, the database is like a collection of all the malware, of all the things that they've known, all the things that antivirus companies have analyzed. If you have access to Bitdefender, Avira, and the 360 engine, you're going to be more well protected in theory than you would from Comodo. And because Comodo doesn't have a very big audience or very large amount of users who use it, you would even be worse off using them because they're not collecting any intelligence from it. But Comodo does very well with firewalls, so a lot of people use it anyways to send them data. Comodo just doesn't do well in testing. Another thing that I like 360 over is, other than its protection scores being better, it has a much cleaner user interface. Overall, it just feels more modern and more elegant. Comodo's felt like it was trying to do Windows 8 and then ended up committing suicide on itself because it was so poorly designed. It wasn't natural, it didn't flow, it didn't feel smooth, it was just terrible design. Anyone from user experience would agree with that because it's just a terrible design. Then everybody else wanted to point out they had a lot in the firewall department. Frankly, the new up and runner that everybody seems to be mentioning is Glasswire, which comes with 360 security. I don't know of any testing done with it. I had not done anything yet, so I can't vouch for it as a product. But I think it's kind of cool with the graphs. If you look at the graphs, they're kind of cool. Other than that, though, I can't vouch for the protection, but the graphs just look cool. It's very nice. It's very smooth, very elegant user interface, and you just do this and you see all the things. I don't know. Frankly, if you're going to be a Comodo fanboy about it, that's fine. But I don't have the time to argue over it. Yeah. 360 total security has even nice cleanup tools. I wouldn't say that it's better than CCleaner. Well, because it doesn't have a registry cleaner yet. If it had a registry cleaner, then it would be on par with CCleaner. If you're just doing regular junk cleanup, this will get the job done. I guess my conclusion to end this whole thing up. Again, siding against Comodo once again. 360 total security is still better than Comodo. If you've tried the Chinese version, you'll agree even more. It's still better than Comodo. I'm getting real tired of this debate and getting all the hate and the, I guess, I don't know, more of the superiority complex from people when they had it. They're like, I mean, it's like going on the first video on YouTube and saying, wow, you did a really shitty job at recording this. Well, no, it was years ago, dumbasses. It's just that simple. 360 total security comes with a patch up to keep all your keep your important software and Windows up to date. Comes with the sandbox, protects your browser, gives you a firewall, high protection scores, nicer user interface. Frankly, I don't understand how people can side with Comodo. But since they're all going to argue that the testing is flawed and this and this and that, that's your problem. But I'm not trying to insult everybody, but I've just gotten a lot of annoying shit from it, and I don't want to deal with that. I apologize if anybody was offended, of course, but frankly, when it's been a video that was created by 2 years ago, and then you get people coming back from 2015 watching it, and gaining that and having that superiority complex to them, and still trying to argue like they're more intelligent and they're experts. No one uses Comodo. I have met a grand total of 0 people, even in college, because those of us in IT sit around and talk about our computers down to the antivirus for some reason. We have no lives. But the key thing is, Comodo isn't that strong in antivirus. They can boast about their features all they want, but the fact of the matter is they have a lot of bloat with their products, poor user interface, and frankly, it's just overall kind of outdated. Thank you all very much for watching. Please stay tuned for another video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them below. You can dislike it, you can hate it. If I get too much hate, I'll probably turn it off again, because I don't like to silence users' opinions. I probably would turn it off if it was 2 years later down the road. I mean, I probably won't turn it off like tomorrow if somebody says, "Go fuck yourself, you noob," because that's just YouTube being YouTube. But I don't need stupid hate. So thank you all very much for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, put them below and I'll make sure to help you out. Thank you very much for watching.